Hello children, Motion, Class 9, Subject Science, Chapter 8 and this is the Part 4. So what did we study in the previous class? We have studied about the non-uniform motion and the graph representing it, right? And we have studied about the acceleration, retardation and the SI unit of acceleration, right? So in today's class, we will be studying about the equations of motion and how to solve an unknown quantity. Is it clear, children? So let's look at it. Equations of motion. Graphing motion, number 1. So uniform motion, that is distance versus time graph, will be shown like this, a slope, right? So uniform motion, velocity versus time is a straight line. Uniform acceleration, velocity versus time is again a slope. Equations of motion. So when an object is moving under a uniform acceleration A in one dimension with initial velocity say u and final velocity v, after a lapse of time t, the 5 quantities namely t, u, v, a and s are related to each other by these equations, where s is the distance travelled in the interval of time t, which means, see here, we know these 3 equations, okay, which is v is equals to u plus at, s is equals to ut plus half at square and v square is equals to u square plus 2as. These are the 3 formulas using which if any one of these is unknown, you can find out easily. Is it clear, children? When you can find out this? Only when the object is moving under a uniform acceleration in one dimension. So v is equals to u plus at is explained graphically. As you can see, this is a velocity versus time graph and it has initial velocity say u here and final velocity is v. So to know the final velocity, it is nothing but initial velocity plus bd, right? So this bd represents at, that is acceleration into time. You get the bd value. Therefore, v is equals to u plus at. Okay, so let's look at the problem. So numeric problem number 1. A car increases its speed steadily from 4 meter per second to 20 meter per second in 10 seconds. Find its acceleration. So what is given in this case? The speed increases steadily from 4 meter per second to 20 meter per second, which means what? The initial velocity is 4 meter per second. Therefore, u is 4 meter per second. And what is the final velocity? So it increases from 4 meter to 20 meter. Therefore, final velocity, that is v, is 20 meter per second. And what else is given? So time is given. T is equals to 10 seconds. So now what you have to find out? Acceleration. So which is the equation that relates all these things? Acceleration, final velocity, initial velocity and the time taken. So it is nothing but v is equals to u plus at. So this is the equation which relates all these parameters, right? So you have to substitute each and every value in its place. So here v, what is final velocity? 20 is equals to 4 plus 10a. 10 is the time and a is nothing but that we have to calculate, that is acceleration. So 10a is nothing but 10 into a. Okay, so what happens? So keep 10a and send 4. So it will be 20 minus 4. Therefore 10a is equals to 16. A is equals to 16 divided by 10, which is 1.6 meter per second square. So this is the acceleration. Is it clear, children? Yes? Second problem. The brakes applied to a car produce an acceleration of 6 meter per second square in the opposite direction to the motion. So brake means what? The car will accelerate or decelerate? It will decelerate, right? So therefore here it is retardation. So if the car takes 2 seconds to stop after the application of brakes, calculate the initial speed and the distance travelled during this time. Okay, so what is given? The car takes 2 seconds to stop. Stop in the sense what? So the final velocity will be 0. Yes, if it is starting from rest means initial velocity u is equals to 0. If the car is stopping after some time means the final velocity, that is v, is equals to 0. And what about acceleration? Here in this case, the brakes are applied, which means you are decreasing the acceleration, which means retardation. Therefore, -6 here. Okay. And what is the time interval given? T is equals to 2 seconds. So, we have to calculate the initial speed and the distance. Right. So, we know that v is equals to u plus at. So, apply this v. What is the value of v? 0. And you have to calculate u plus a into t. What is acceleration? In this case, it is -6 because it is retarding. Into what is the time interval? It is 2. Therefore, u minus 12 is equals to 0. Right? So, when you send minus 12 to the right hand side, so the minus 12 becomes plus 12. You all know, right? If plus is there, then it becomes minus. If minus is there, it becomes plus. And if it is multiplication, it becomes division. And if it is division, it becomes multiplication when you send it to the other side. Right? So, here in this case, it is minus 12. Therefore, it becomes plus 12 after sending it to the right hand side. U is equals to 12 meter per second. So, we have find out the initial speed. And then what we have to find out? We have to find out the distance traveled. Right? Therefore, we know time, we know acceleration, we know the initial velocity, and you have to calculate the distance. So, distance is given by S. Okay. So, S is equals to ut plus half at square is the formula in which you have to apply all these values and find out the value of S. Okay. So, S is equals to what is the value of u? Initial velocity. It is 12 meter per second into what is the time taken? Time is 2 seconds. Plus half in the sense 0.5 into what is the acceleration? Acceleration is -6 into time is 2. Therefore, t square is 2 2s are, that is 4. So, if you apply all these values, you get 12 meter. Therefore, what happens? The car travels 12 meter before coming to rest. Okay, so we have find out initial speed as well as the distance. Next comes the numeric problem number 3. A stone is thrown in a vertically upward direction with a velocity of 5 meter per second. So, if the acceleration of the stone during its motion is 10 meter per second square in the downward direction, what will be the height attained by the stone and how long does it take to reach the highest point? So, what all things are given? So, let us just note it down. So, taking upward direction as positive and downward as negative. So, the initial velocity u is 5 meter per second and acceleration is -10. Why it is -10? Because upward direction is positive whereas downward is negative, right? So, here it is retarding, therefore -10. And v is equals to 0. Final velocity is 0. Why? Because at the highest point, it has 0 velocity. So, to find S, we can use the formula v square is equals to u square plus 2as. We know the final velocity v is 0 and initial velocity is 5. Therefore, 5 square is 25 plus 2 into what is acceleration? -10 into what is the S? We don't know. We have to calculate. So, if you calculate, you get 1.25 meter. So, the stone reaches a height of 1.25 meter before falling down. Right? So, and then what do we have to calculate next? The time to reach the highest point can be found by substituting in v is equals to u plus at. Right? So, if you apply all the values in this v is equals to u plus at equation, you get the value of time. So, v, what is the final velocity? 0 is equals to what is the initial velocity? 5 meter per second minus 10 into t. Therefore, time t is 0.5 seconds. So, in 0.5 seconds, the stone reaches the highest point. Is it clear, children? You just have to apply all these values in the required equation and find out what is required. So, what we have learnt? So, we have learnt about the equations of motion, right? And if one parameter is unknown, then we can easily find out the solution for that. right? So, and at the end, we have to make sure that the units are written properly. For example, like for acceleration, it is meter per second square. For time, it is seconds, like that. The units play a very important role in any problem. So, review questions. These are the few questions that you have to answer. So, what is the initial velocity when the body starts from rest? So, from rest. Therefore, you have to find out what is the initial velocity. And second question, what is the final velocity when a body comes to rest? Think that a car is traveling and it comes to rest. So what is the final velocity? I have already explained you during the problem, right? So what is the acceleration of a body when it moves with uniform velocity? And fourth question is, state the relationship among U, V, A and T where the symbols have the usual meaning. So you have to write the formula where all these symbols are there, okay, which relates all these symbols. So you have to answer it and then look at the answers. Thank you, children.